Howdy y'all. So the first thing we're going to do today is secure our respirator. Now this one is a 3M quick release respirator with 2297 filters. And what that means for the 2297 filter, it just means that it's going to catch oiled and non-oiled metal vapor, the type of particulate that will hurt your lungs, that will cause silicosis and other heavy metal poisoning. So as you can see here, right, just like that, quick release. In case you need to use your blow hose or you need to talk to somebody, you can pull it on, pull it off very quickly. It's extremely handy, and I personally always recommend using a respirator. I would rather be too safe than far more sorry. So let's get going. The first thing we're going to do is select a piece of silver and put it on a heat-resistant surface. I just happened to put it on top of my graphite. As you see, our neutral flame is going to heat this piece of silver. We're just trying to flash it with heat. We're not trying to melt it. And as you can see, the water vapor naturally occurring that is absorbed into the graphite is now being heated up and evaporated away. We're not evaporating the silver. So the first technique we're going to be going over today is a silver and air trap. So what I'm doing here is I'm gathering back a ball of glass, and once that ball of glass has been gathered, I'm going to press it into a puck. I'm going to carve lines into it, fume it, cap it with clear, and then make it into the shape that I want. So that's just an overview of what we're doing. So here I'm making my ball. I'm making sure that it's not too hot, not too cold. Press it into a puck. Now I'm going to flame polish all of the creases that are going to be left behind by the graphite. So with my scoring knife, I'm just going to lightly press and make an indentation. I'm making what you call like a checkered board, so lines one way and then the other way. And here I'm just going over my lines to make sure that the creases are deep enough for an air trap. And this is a pattern that we're going to be working with. It's going to be a checkerboard or square pattern in a reducing flame, which means more propane than oxygen. I'm going to lightly heat up the silver, allow it to start to fume, and then add my glass in. If you introduce your working component alongside the silver at the same time in the flame, you're going to get sparks or splatters from the initial combustion of the silver, and it won't be a nice, even, shiny coating. You'll have little splotches or patches. Remember, you can always go in and add as many layers of silver as you want, and if there's too much, you can always burn it back off. But what you don't want to do is catch large chunks of silver in your working components. Here, I'm now capping that silver, and I'm also air trapping. So I'm just heating up my clear and then raking it down the front. I'm not melting the face where the silver has been laid. I'm just pulling it down to make sure that it's also capturing not only the fuming but also the air underneath from the score lines we initially laid down. So now what I'm doing is I'm evening out the face of this pendant, making sure that the clear that we laid down are all in one cohesive state, so one flat surface, no longer separated by lines of clear. The reason I zoomed in here was I want you guys to watch how my hand is laying this glass down. The key to even distribution of heat while laying down color is to continue to turn the rod in your hand as you are pressing down. And you're not pressing down like forcing it down, you're laying it down at an acute angle where the surface where you're laying it is receiving heat, and the portion of the color rod that is being laid is being heated. You don't want to make it where just the rod is being heated and not the surface of where you're applying it, because what will happen is it will not apply correctly. It'll be too cold, you'll catch air bubbles, it won't stick. So what I've done here is I've just melted in everything that I've applied, so the initial clear and the color. I took my graphite paddle back into my marver, my L-shaped marver, and I squared my pendant off. So it was originally a puck shape, and now I'm trying to convert it into a square shape by bringing my puck back into my L marver and lightly pressing with my paddle until I get a 90-degree angle or a square angle with my somewhat oval puck. that we originally created. A second ago, I did cut off a piece of glass with my shears. Now, it was just extra glass that had no definable characteristics of the pattern that we were working with. So I just took my $5 bone shears from the supermarket, which is what they are, and I just cut off the excess color, or excess really clear is what it was, when it was in a orange to yellow molten state, and then simply cut through it with the shears to alleviate the excess instead of having to sit there and rake it off with either a pair of tweezers or a clear punty. For this one, I did a push and pull loop, and now I'm finishing it off, and here's the finished product. And you'll really be able to see it once I put it against a black background or a dark gray. But here is your air trap and your fume trap pendant. The second technique we're going to go over is just twisted cane. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat up my silver fume. Then I will put my 6mm rod into the flame. I will allow it to silver fume. Then I will take a piece of clear and I will stripe as many or as little lines of clear on top of it so that when I melt it in and twist it, it will create a patterned cane that I can then use to decorate, to pull down, to back, to push into a puck, do whatever design work that I want to do, I can then do it. But this is a part of component making